Serious, in the spirit of October, what's the creepiest or most paranormal experience that has happened to you? This happened when I was 8 to 10. I was peacefully sleeping, then I wake up. I starting hearing a loud sound, are those that you hear when you are flashbang. Then I hear a door breaching noise. After it opens, I saw a black figure. The light were on outside the bedroom, so I couldn't recognize it. I imagine somehow a demon, but it was my dad. I can explain some of this. Thin guy believed at that age it was just my paranoia. The door breaching noise I've heard was because the door was old and oftenly broke. 2. That peep sound was because when I was terrified I held that part of bone that half teeth of the down to above which causes that sound. After all, I wasn't feel the same weird thing happened like door opening, but that could be explained. It was summer and I left the window open, also door was pushed by the wind, the lock was broken. That ain't a dream or that demon paralysis thing, because I was conscious and I could move/run at any time. I've got a weird spooky double. People see me everywhere. Constantly. Most recently my neighbor sees me come up to his apartment and sit on his porch chair. A couple stories. This has been happening since I was in my early 20s. My grandmother was always offering me to sleep in her bed with her while I was sleeping on her couch, but I always refused cause she had a really comfortable couch. One night I was sleeping over at someone else's house, and my grandma woke up the next morning to ask my mom when I'd gotten home last night, because I had come home pretty late and climbed into bed with her. Apparently she spoke to me and I spoke back, but mom assured her that I never came home. Grandma refused to believe this and told her I was still in her bed when she got up. So they went to investigate, but no one was there. In a crowded convention center, I left my friends to go watch a panel I was interested in. I got this weird text asking where I went, so I said I'm in the panel. What's up? You need me to come back? And they freaked out, cause apparently I told them I wasn't interested in this panel after all, and I followed them all around the vendors hall, engaging them in conversation and pointing out things I thought were cool. They looked away from me and I said, "Hey, look at this." But when they turned around to see whatever it was, I was gone. There were various other stories similar to that which I've heard, but those are the ones I remember best. Another one involved me standing in someone's house, going to their fridge and opening it, then closing it and walking out of the kitchen and out of sight into nothingness while wearing different clothing than I was wearing earlier in the day. Most recently it happened in September, and a couple months before that. I was sleeping over at a friend's house when I was about 16. Her parents were out of town, so we locked all the doors and set the alarm. We then watched a couple movies and fell asleep in the living room. I woke up at about 2 a.m. because I was freezing. It was January, and I sit up and the front door is just wide open. I whisper yelled her name and we both sat there whisper fighting over who would go shut the door back. We were certain we had deadbolted the door and set the alarm, so it was pretty terrifying. We live in an old house. My friend was over one night and we were at the pool table downstairs. He said he smelled something burning. I didn't smell anything. Nobody else was home. We went on with the game. A crash of pots and pans came from the kitchen upstairs. We both ran up to see what it was and they were all over the floor. He started picking them up while I checked to see if anyone was there. We found nothing out of the ordinary other than the dishes on the floor, so we went back downstairs and tried to ignore what just happened. 10 minutes later we heard footsteps upstairs. Knowing that nobody else was there, I told him it was probably just the dog. He accepted that and we kept playing. Until the dog came out from under the pool table and started barking at the stairs. That was the end of the night for us. He went home and I went to stay with my kids who were camping with my parents. So, on a mission trip to Honduras with a group of about 10 people. I'll preface this by saying that I rarely have nightmares or vivid dreams. One night I have the worst nightmare I've ever had. It was so vivid that I can remember it clearly to this day. Two of my friends were laughing this ear-splitting laughter. One of them had my fiancée in a chair and was standing behind her laughing while my fiancée screamed for help. Then, when I went to reach for her, the other friend appeared right in my face laughing so loudly that it woke me up. I turned my flashlight on and looked around the room. I've never been so shaken. I started reading my Bible until I felt comfortable going back to sleep. The next night we were all talking about the trip when I brought up my nightmare. There was a momentary pause after I explained it, and then everyone began to say that they had the exact same nightmare on the same night. Every single person on the trip. My sister lived in Germany for a few months, and being super close we spoke on Skype at least twice a week. I was living in an apartment that I was noticing had some activity in. Doors opening by themselves, hearing someone whispering my name when I was the only one home. Weird shuffling around, again when I was alone. So I'm on my phone Skyping my sister, when I hear a whisper coming from the stairwell. I freeze, kind of freaked out. When I looked at my sister to tell her why I just suddenly trailed off, she says, "No, I heard that too. I thought you were home alone." The fact that she was able to hear it through my shitty phone speakers still gives me chills. Kid? Is that you? When I was in 5th grade, my pops and I would walk past our neighbor who would always sit outside in the morning and smoke a stogie. We'd always say good morning and all. Nothing out of the norm. Went to school, got home, and typically I'd play with her grandson who was my age, and I'd buy hot Cheetos and candy from their apartment because they sold them. I go over to ask Freddy if he wanted to play ball, and I asked him where his grandma was. Dude tells me she had passed away over the weekend. I thought he was bullshitting because I had seen her that morning. As an 11-year-old I was tripping out and was wondering if my memory was messing with me. My dad got home and I told him if we said hi to our neighbor. He said we did, and I told him she had passed away. He goes over to their apartment, and that's when I knew I wasn't tripping, because even my own dad was like, WTF. Nothing too crazy, but I was running one dark morning and saw a shadow sitting on a small wall ahead of me. I figured it was my brain assigning a shape to the shadows of the trees. As I got nearer, the shadow stood up and walked towards me. It disappeared into another shadow and I haven't seen it since. I figured it was probably the wind moving the trees, since I'm not a big believer in ghosts and the like, but it was a really still morning. Was watching the movie Strangers and the wind blew my front door open at the right moment and I jumped and let out a yell, ran over, shut and locked my front door. Then I sat on the couch and didn't move till my hub came home from work. On my grandfather's 1-year death anniversary, at exactly 12 AM the electricity got cut off, then turned back on seconds later. Then the electronic album thing started playing and it showed pictures of him. If that was you, Grandpa, fuck you, I had a heart attack, miss that guy. My grandfather died in my parents' house when I was 14. He was wheelchair bound at the end. When I was 29 I was living there with my 2 kids, 2 and 3 year at the time. My 2-year would stand at the end of the hall and wave at nobody. The room he died in was at the end of the hall. The thing that really got me was when my 3-year told me he didn't like that man. When I asked him what man, he said the man with the chair with wheels on it. We moved out soon after. I've had a ton of weird experiences in my life. There's my imaginary friend when I was a child. He enjoyed living in my closet and moving my dolls to the center of the room. He wore a disheveled flannel shirt with dark red/black stains on it and really dirty jeans. He liked to scare me. Got some sort of thrill out of it. There's the time I went to a haunted bridge. It was a small bridge over a small creek. Legend was if you parked your car, got out of it, and looked over the bridge, you'd see a ghostly figure standing near the creek bed. One night, a friend and I thought it was a horseshit legend, so we drove there and parked on the bridge. We got out and looked down at the creek. We weren't prepared for what we saw. It was a dim blue figure and it looked up at us. We kept staring cause hey, we're dumb teenagers. The thing started to move quickly up the embankment towards us. As it got closer, I noticed it was angry and it was sprinting at us. We quickly ran back to the car, jumped in and started it up. The figure was now on the bridge behind my car. It was still running towards us. We sped off screaming. As I looked in the rearview mirror to see if we lost it, it was standing at the edge of the bridge and it was holding a cleaver. I have a feeling it was going to kill us.